So far we have just used black and white in our composition. In this lesson, we'll introduce color and some embellishments as well. What elements we can introduce in our composition to bring depth and dimension. Welcome back to the computer. Now you'll see here that I have pre-selected a color combination that I want to work with. I've been saying this in my lessons that the reason I use black and white is that it allows me to just evaluate my composition better without being biased how it looks in color. I think this is such an important thing to do. I'm going to start by creating a copy that you see that I have done already. So this is named after my lesson. I'm just going to teach you how I do some effects to bring more dimension and depth to your composition. I'm going to start by changing the color of the background. Have this square the same size as my format, and then I'm going to select everything else and I'm going to click Command-Shift-O. Now that everything is in curves, you won't be able to change the text as we did it with the use of a font. That's why we're saving copies. If in case that you are doing this commercially, then at least you have a copy to go back, do the edits there. Maybe the client asks you to have, I don't know, attention to the letters and change it to attention to the fonts. Then at least you have that copy to revisit and make your life easier. I'm going to change all that to the off-white and as well as these little lines here. Okay, well, step one with color has already been done. I'm going to put all this composition slightly higher. Color is also going to change the way you see your composition on the space. I think the spacing looks better because now we have a nice top and bottom of the composition a bit more even. Now I'm going to select attention, and this is the first effect that I'm going to teach you. This is going to be an offset shadow. So copy that, Command C. Go inside that group, double click, select Command A, that's going to select everything, group it again, Command G, and then place to the back the copy that we have created, Command B. Now change that to this darker color that we have here with the use of the eyedrop, and with the use of the arrows, move it, offset that. Almost all my work uses the shadows to the right. This is something that is a personal preference, but I have heard from sign painters that they prefer to have them to the left because it seems that it saves time. But for this part, I'm just going to do it in the way I do it digitally. You'll see that the first thing in here, we have on the right of the letters a lot of space more on these ones than on these ones. And that is happening because, of course, we just offset it and with a few clicks, but to really look a bit more natural and also have the space between the shadow and the letter even across the whole word, we need to put a little bit more work. So adjust that part a little bit manually with the use of rotation, and then I'm going to have something in between the two. I think this is a good reference, this width, so I'm going to move these ones a little bit in. This one too. It doesn't exactly need to be perfect, just that the eye can have a bit more of a medium point between the two. Now this one is slightly trickier because we have this angle, so I'm going to do that manually. And because the angle is opening up at top, just select these knots with the use of the white arrow, click R, click an angle anchor point for those knots, and then just rotate them. So that's going to give you a slightly more natural touch up there. I think this is a good place to stop. And okay, maybe this one goes a little bit to the right. I think this works, and I'm going to go out of that group. Okay, I think the step one has been done. It's looking great. What I'm going to do next is to bring more dimension to this attention part. Go inside the group again, select all what is white, Command A, and then go Object, Path, Offset Path. And what this is going to do is going to create a shape inside or outside. If you go to the negative numbers or to the ones above 0, you'll see how that works. The reason I'm not using a stroke instead is because if you do that, you're going to start losing some of the details of the fonts that the typographer already designed. So this is a good way to control it. I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to ask you to click Command G. Now you're turning that into a group. Copy it, Command C, and erase it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to paste it on front, Command F. Now select the color. At the moment, I'm going to use this kind of toasted color, and now select these two, these three, group them, Command G. So go to your pinwheel of color, advanced options, and then just drag this down. That should swap them. You'll see that here. I'm gonna click OK. Okay, I think this is looking better. One of the things that you're gonna be careful with are these parts. So again, it just needs a little bit more work if you want your work to look very, very good. We don't want those straight lines in our inline stroke that harsh. So I'm gonna move those slightly higher over here. If you do this, it's gonna be too much. So just something in between. Optically, it's gonna look like it's slightly soft curve there, which I think is a nice touch to your composition in general. I'm gonna do that here too. Of course, if you have more letters that requires that, it's gonna take you slightly longer. But that's why patience, I think, is very important in all these exercises. All right, I think offset shadow is done. And now I'm gonna do something with the word letters. So I'm gonna go inside a group, select everything, Command A, Command G, group it, Command C, copy it, Command B, pasting back, eyedrop, select this shadow here, offset down, offset to the right, a little bit more, a little bit more. So now we have just an offset shadow, but what we want in here is have some dimension to these letters. And what I'm gonna do is come in here, now click Command U, bring back those smart guides. I'm gonna click P for our pen tool. Somewhere here, you'll see that there's a plus symbol, so we're adding a knot. Then drag that, and it's gonna snap into the shape of the white letter. And with that, we're creating this sort of box for the letter. And that's the dimension that we want for this part. I'm gonna apply it to the rest of the characters. Now we have applied that to all of our letters, but if you see my composition, it's kind of missing something, I think. Something that I always think of is how we can bring more contrast into the composition so it really stands out. And also in here, we can explore how the sun is hitting our composition. So at the moment, the sun is coming from the left side, somewhere above in the clouds. But let's say that this is like a really bright day. The shadows are a bit darker. So I'm gonna add another shadow to my shadow. I'm gonna go inside, copy everything, all of this, Command C, go out of that group, then place it to the front. I'm actually gonna group these two. Command G, go inside, paste it on the front, and bring that to black. Let's change the opacity on that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, again, Command U, bring those smart guides, and with a white arrow, bring that anchor point, touching it there. What we're gonna do is really just removing all these that we don't need. Select these two. And now, this is what we're looking for in the rest of the composition for all that part. So the light, there's more dimension to the letter, and we have also more contrast on the word. I'm gonna do that with the rest of the letters, and I'll see you back in a second. I have finished this part, but what you are gonna do is select that white shape and then just bring it to the front of that, so you are not seeing the mess. You have that kind of behind the scenes where no one can see it. Let me erase this part, we don't need that. And just use a little bit more. Okay, this is looking good, but I actually want more contrast. This now has an opacity. I wanna bring it all the way up to 100. All right, I think now we have a bit of more dimension and more interesting lighting and shadows and lights. But in here, really, I want to change this to black, because now we have all these together and it looks that they are working really harmoniously. Let's change this part in here. I'm gonna leave it in this color, but I want to have some sort of inner stroke, like a little skeleton. Now this is a group, go inside the group, and I'm gonna start tracing just lines here with the use of the pen tool. I want to bring that to black. Actually, I'm going to use this color here. Okay, and now let's have that really in the center of that letter. Bring that here. And let's copy it. We have this part here. Now we have the ones for the stems. And we have the ones that are horizontally. All right, we're gonna do the circle with the use of the ellipse tool, that is L. Okay, now in here is a bit tricky because of course this is not the exact inner shape of the O, but you need to have a little bit more patience. Do your work as a designer and adjust all those little things to see that the space runs evenly, and copy this. You see that it changes the point size because I adjusted it. Now be sure this is a group. So now we have a group for this part, we have a group of this part, we have a group of this part. And that's the way that you can use in layers, but really I prefer to use in groups.